Nigerian government sponsored Sheikh Gumi to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia saw Sheikh Gumi and told him, "Hey, you this Fulani bandit sympathizer, you are not allowed. Oh yeah, back to your terrorist country." This is the symbol of the Sheikh Gumi deportation that just happened some hours ago. It is a shame that a country that is supposed to be a secular state, a Nigeria that presents itself as a country that does not support either Muslims or Christians, will always embark in sympathizing, emboldening people who frolic with bandits. As you can see on my screen, you can see the pictures of Sheikh Gumi, and I'm sure these are the things that indicted Sheikh Gumi, that Sheikh Gumi could bring in terrorism along with him if he's allowed into Saudi Arabia. You see, this is a very big slap on Nigeria, because in Saudi Arabia that we know that even bandits, all the bandits that we know that have been disturbing us in Nigeria today, most of them will always kidnap Nigerians, make money, and use that money to go to Hajj, Hijrah, are now being deported. Just some days ago, I made a video about Ado Alero. Okay, I'm going to show that video at the end of the day. Ado Alero, who is one of the biggest kidnapping terrorists, okay, in the north, who sent his wife and mother to Saudi Arabia for Umrah, were also picked and they were also deported. This is a show of disgrace that Nigeria is not a country that is not ready for peace, a country that's everything about Nigeria in the last few years, it has been related with terrorism, evil, bad news, haba. The same time we heard that Nigeria was the only country in West Africa that was sympathizing with Palestine. The Palestinians who are known with Syria, the Gazas, who attacked Israel unabated as of 2024 without any form of provocation. They invaded Israel, they went there, carpet bombed there. I think it's since 2023, if I'm not mistaken. October 7th, right? We saw Nigerian northern Fulani'S, they were jubilating, celebrating. When Israel started attacking back, we saw then, as at then, the likes of the Sheik, the likes of the Buharis and co, they were saying that may God set fire on Israel, may Israel burn to ashes. You know, Sheikh Gumi was even ready to lead a campaign, a protest in Nigeria to ensure that Israel never knows peace. And these are the people they claim to be man of God or men of God. They want to go to Umrah or Hajj to go and seek the face of God. Saudi has exposed them that, listen, the God that we serve in this place does not frolic with banditry. You cannot be telling me that you are a sheikh. Do you know the meaning of sheikh? A sheikh is like a prophet, a professor rather, an intellectual, a person that is of high knowledge. You call yourself a Sheikh Gumi. You got deported because of your ways that are shady. Your shady snaky movie ways. You are seen in the bushes, you are bribing the bandits, and at the end of the day, you go back home with your head intact. The bandits do not harm you. The bandits see you as a colleague, as a trusted ally. I beg, in which country will this ever happen, and the country will allow such a person to go scot-free if it is not only Nigeria? Let me tell you, Nigeria is in a deep mess, and unless, of course, we rise up as a people, because when the likes of Saudi Arabia can begin to deny people like Sheikh Gumi, let me tell you, the likes of the Sultan, the likes of anybody that does not rise up to speak against the Fulani banditry, it's a matter of time, all of them will begin to be shadow banned, they will begin to be blacklisted. Yes, if you as a political leader, a religious leader, a traditionalist leader, you are a Fulani man, you call yourself an elite, you call yourself a Nigerian, and instead of you to be speaking, calling out the evil these people are doing, you are quiet. You rather take money from innocent Nigeria, you go and bribe those Fulani bandits, and you think that Saudi Arabia is not looking at you? Listen, Saudi Arabia know the person who is on seat of power today. The strongest man in the world, Donald Trump, does not in any way tolerate anybody that sympathizes, that supports, that seems to be in any way be forgiving to terrorism. It doesn't. You know, before this time, Sheikh Gumi, I'm sure as our last 3 years, Sheikh Gumi was still in Saudi, was still there, performed his Umrah, came back, celebrated his Salah. But But in the just in less than 150 days that Donald Trump came, everything about Saudi Arabia has changed. In less than 1 month, Saudi Arabia has deported nothing less than 4 known people who are affiliated to terrorism in Nigeria. I said before, I said the parents and the wife of Ado Alero, one of the biggest Fulani bandits in the core north. And today, as we confirm, a Sheik Gumi has gotten deported. You see, Sheik Gumi is telling us that he knows that Nigeria will support him. He knows that Nigeria will talk to Saudi Arabia. He knows that Saudi Arabia will have a review of this deportation because he is not in any way complicit. Neither is he in any way at fault. That all he did was to support the Nigerian government. Listen, it will get to a time that the Nigerian government himself will be banned. What am I even saying? Have Saudi Arabia not in the last 3 weeks released a memo that some countries will not be allowed in Saudi Arabia, and we saw that Nigeria was amongst? Is that not what happened? You see, the Nigerian Muslims, or shall I say, the Northern Fulani Muslims, the way they practice their own Islam is kind of crooked, is kind of faulty, because if a Saudi Arabia, which seems to be the cradle, the epitome of the religion, can begin to question the sanity and the sanctity of how they practice it, then we must begin to question our Nigerian government that they need to be regularized, they need to be regulated, they need to be put in their places. The excesses of Sharia law in the Nigerian constitution must be what? Curtailed. Because if in the Bible, if in the constitution we don't have the Bible mentioned, then we shouldn't have the Sharia mentioned. So as simple as that. We should have a situation whereby some people will be telling us that the Islamic studies can now represent a WAEC. Now we are being told that our students do not necessarily need to go and read or to go and acquire a NECO standard or certification. They don't need to do WAEC. They don't even need to do JAM. All they need to do is go to an Arabic school, acquire the Islamic certification, and they go apply for nursing, doctorate, or whatever, and they will be accepted. Who does that? This is a complete Islamization of this country, and I'm so happy that it is not even Israel that is beginning to speak against this one term, which seems to be unstoppable with Fulani'Zation agenda of the country. Even if people are being killed, the Nigerian government seems to be helpless in stopping and abating the Fulani bandits. I am happy that it is the cradle, the biggest, the most respected Islamic country in the world, which is Saudi Arabia, has begun to show the hypocrisy, the wickedness, the crudeness, the rudeness, and the bruteness of the Fulani's, whereby a Sheik Gumi, who is respected by all the Fulani bandits in Nigeria, are now being sent back home. That listen, go back home. We do not want you because you are affiliated with banditry. You are not welcome here. You are banned for a period of time or for life. I don't know and I don't care. But this is a good news for us, because Nigeria government must begin to see and know that when they are sponsoring people to places of pilgrimage, they must ensure that these are people that are not related with any form of terrorism. They must ensure that these are people that not in any way in the past supported banditry. I said earlier in my previous programs, when I said that a Sheik Gumi used to challenge Jonathan that if any attack is done against the Fulani bandits, it's an attack against the North. And then we remember that statement was for a political gain, which of course assisted Buhari. And we knew how a Sheik Gumi ran unabated, unstopped, unchained under the regime of Buhari. This was a man who became so influential, very political influential in the North as at then. In fact, it got to a time that a Sheik Gumi became the face of terrorism. It got to a time that without a Sheik Gumi, the bandits would not listen to anybody's word. It became to a time that a Sheik Gumi became the spokesman, or should I say, the negotiator between the federal government, became the mediator between the federal government and the bandits. And the Fulani's, or the Saudi Arabia, pardon me, watched this, they listened, they took note, and when Donald Trump came on board, I am sure one of the things he told them that, listen, Saudi Arabia, you must play your role to ensure that across the global south, even the north, even in Africa, that terrorism is brought down. I am sure they did this. I am sure when Donald Trump came on board, one of the conditions, because Donald Trump just left Saudi Arabia some few weeks ago, he told them, listen, yes, we can work together, but you have to play your role as the mother or the father of Islam in the world. That everybody that you think is related to terrorism, you must begin to show them that you are against. And I believe Sheik Gumi has gotten the message. And I'm sure Gumi, now that he has been disgraced, will not in any way say any nonsense that the Fulani bandits, if they are being killed, they are attacked against the North. Because he knows that if he cannot go to the Hajj for the rest of his life, he might be a condemned Muslim, because that is their belief, that is their faith. They know, because it is one of the pillars of the Islam, that you must be able to have the capacity to go and observe Umrah or Hajj in Medina. For him not to have this leverage or to have this access is a big blow. And these are the things that we pray and hope that the Saudi Arabia can begin to point out on the Nigerian state that, listen, your hypocrisy towards every other people of other religion, and your inability or your lack of political will to fight this bandit, because of whatever reasons, we will no longer support it. Take your money and take your money away. Now that Saudi Arabia has banned Nigerians, Saudi will be fine, because other people will go there. Just the way Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore rejected the mosque that Saudi Arabia wanted to give them. I am sure if it was Nigeria, they would have accepted it. But we know that today, Nigeria is no longer the favorite of the Saudis in Africa or in West Africa. Let us listen to this my agenda about Ado Alero. Thank you. Now we are told that Bandit, on his way to Mecca to have Hajj, observe the Umrah, because in a few days' time, we're going to be having the big, festive period of the Muslim, which is called Salah. He was caught en route in Abuja, and why he was caught, it was questioned, and he said he has sponsored nothing less than 200 people in his own community to Saudi Arabia. In fact, a video, as you can see on my screen there, is that guy, Ado Alero, one of the top terrorist kingpins who have become a billionaire through this industry, the kidnapping industry. And he seems to be untouchable, he seems to be invisible. And here is the situation of Nigeria today, where Fulani marauding herders, kidnappers, bandits, they all go unabated in the Nigerian society, territory, and yet the federal government, or should I say the Nigerian army, will not deploy the full security apparatus to clamp down this element. When these bandits and terrorists came into Nigeria, it was induced by his political undertone, because then when Jonathan was doing everything possible to clamp them down, hiring machineries, South Africa, and then somewhere from, I think, Ukraine or Hungary, Bulgaria, and they were pointing out the location, the enclaves of these bandits, and all they needed to do was pinpoint where they were overnighting, attack and leave, strike and leave. Then we saw how the North vehemently, shouted, and they stopped Jonathan. And that was one of the reasons why they actually kicked Jonathan out, because they felt that Jonathan was a man who was ready to deepen Western liberation, education, enlightenment into the core North. And of course, we know what this Islamic State of West African province, what they stand for, or what Boko Haram stand for, what their agenda is clearly to eliminate and destroy anything that has to do with Western civilization. I'm just going to talk about the girl who has just been sentenced to death because she converted, right, from Islam to Christian. So by Sharia court, she has now been sentenced to be tried and then possibly sent to death, because this is institutionalized. Because I'll show you tweets of Northerners who are defending this cause, saying that if you have been a true Muslim, you understand that it is an heresy, it is an haram, it is one of the greatest offense as a Muslim faithful to convert to Christian or any other religion if you are not under duress, and you deserve to be annihilated, because that is the greatest, or part of the greatest sin any human being can actually commit against God. So going back to the issue of bandits, you see, these bandits people,
it's the choices you make that set you apart from being good to being great. My choice? Nivea Men Deep Body Lotion with Max Tech, powered by Black Carbon. Gives you both darkwood fragrance and 48-hour moisture. Skin is for playing it smart. Nivea is for skin.
have become if I'm going to be mindful with my words, they have become a mini government. Yes, because the last video that I made, a soldier literally said that I they come up for year, like this terrorists, they came in unabated, they cleared all the weapons, everything. I would have showed you if not for YouTube copyright issues. I've seen the video, right? They came into the camp of the Nigerian Army barracks, launched a brutal attack, wiped out about 6 Nigerian soldiers. You know, they actually parked all the ammunitions, the vehicles, the bikes. They parked nothing less than 30 to 40 bikes. They took about 8 vehicles. I mean, in that video that I saw, this was actually released by these ISWAP gangs, right? A well-edited video, right? I'll try to show a clip, just like 2 seconds. Look at it. So they will, you see there, these guys have become so powerful that they have the audacity to now be sharing videos of attack. Their launched attack. These guys are wearing even well sophisticated gears than even our Nigerian soldiers. So you wonder how they've grown that balls of iron and steel, that now they are going for Hajj, sending their friends and families to Hajj. Now they've extended to even their communities. Like over 200 people. You guys should go and pray for us. Let us always have successful operations. And